Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is our fifth lecture of thermodynamics course. So this is basically the objective of today's outline, in which we'll introduce the concepts of the energy and we define its various forms. Then we'll discuss the nature of the internal energy. Then define the concepts of heat and the terminologies that are associated with energy transfer by heat. Then there will be the discussion upon the three mechanisms of the heat transfer, that are conduction, convection and radiation. Then we'll define the concepts of work, including electrical work and several forms of the mechanical work. Then we'll have the introduction to the first law of the thermodynamics, as we have studied in the previous lectures also, the energy balance and the mechanisms of energy transfer to or from a system. Then there will be the determination of the fluid flowing across a controlled surface of a controlled volume, that it carries the energy across the controlled surface. Then we'll define the energy conservation efficiencies, and then the discussion that implies the energy convergence on the environment. Now, first of all, we'll have the introduction. So here you are seeing basically a fan that has been placed inside a glass room that is well sealed and well insulated. Similarly, a refrigerator is basically placed inside a glass room which is again sealed and insulated. That is basically done to see how the energy transfer are possible. Now if we take the entire room including the air, sorry, I'll just take the highlighter. Now if we take the entire room including the air and the refrigerator or fan as a system, this basically whole scenario is considered as system 1. This is also a system which is an adiabatic closed system, since the room is well sealed and well insulated. The only energy interaction involved is the electrical energy crossing the system boundary and entering the room. Like from this plug, only the electrical energy is coming into the refrigerator. From outside, there is no heat and work that is crossing the boundary. Similarly, in this example also. So as a result of convergence of electrical energy consumed by these devices like refrigerator and fan, the room temperature will rise. So we are saying that basically we are converting our electrical energy into the heat. Here you are showing that it has been showing that a fan, we have provided electrical energy, although it is basically throwing the air, but because of the electrical energy the heat is generated inside the motor of the fan, and because of that the temperature of the room will rises. Now the forms of the energy. Energy can exist in numerous forms such as thermal energy, mechanical energy, kinetic energy, potential energy, and the sum of all these forms of the energy is known as the total energy of the system, and it is denoted by capital E. Thermodynamics deals only with the change of the total energy, how the changes in the total energy are possible. Macroscopic forms of the energy, what are they? Those are basically the system possesses as a whole with respect to some outside reference frame such as kinetic and the potential energy. These are basically the macroscopic or the sensible forms of the energy. Microscopic forms of the energies are related with the molecular structure, or we are going to the atoms to see the molecular activity. Now the internal energy, U, the sum of all the microscopic forms of the energy like heat contents of the system. Now the kinetic energy, Ke, the energy that a system possesses as a result of its motion relative to some frame is known as the kinetic energy. So we can say that the kinetic energy of a system is basically due to the motion of the system, and the potential energy a system possesses as the result of its elevation or the gravitational field. So we can say that a system possesses the potential energy because of the height or because of the altitude of the system. These are basically the equations of the energy. For kinetic energy, we have the equation mv square over 2. For kinetic energy per unit mass, mass would be divided by the mass and it becomes v square over 2. Then we have potential energy mgz, where z is basically the height, and per unit mass it will become gz. So the total energy would be internal energy U plus kinetic energy plus potential energy. That would be equals to U plus mv square over 2 plus mgz, and the total energy per unit mass it would be equals to smaller u plus v square over 2 plus gz. So basically the smaller sign is used for energy per unit mass. Now some physical insights of the internal energy. Sensible energy. The portion of the internal energy of a system associated with the kinetic energy of the molecules is known as basically the sensible energy. We will elaborate the sensible energy like you are supplying heat to the water and its temperature is continuously rising. So you are basically sensing the heat. You are seeing that the temperature is rising. So this is basically the sensible form of the energy, latent heat. The internal energy associated with phase change of a substance is known as the latent energy. Like you are supplying heat to water and after 100 degrees Celsius the temperature stops rising unless and until all the liquid is converted into the gas phase, and then after that again temperature starts rising. So this is basically the latent energy or the latent heat. Now the chemical energy, the internal energy associated with the atomic bonds within the molecules, like the atoms and the molecule are bonded with each other, so there is an energy involved between these two. This form of energy is known as the chemical energy. We can also say that this is the molecular or the atomic energy. Now the nuclear energy, the tremendous amount of the energy associated with the strong bond within the nucleus of an atom itself. Now we are going further deep inside the system. So nuclear energy is basically there is only a one molecule and the energy associated with its proton and electron and the bond between them is basically the nucleus or the nuclear energy. Now thermal is equals to thermal energy is basically equals to the sensible energy plus latent energy, and the internal energy is equals to sensible plus latent plus nuclear and chemical energy. The total energy of a system can be contained or stored in a system, thus can be viewed as the static form of the energy. The forms of the energy not stored in a system are known as the dynamic energies or the energy interaction, like energy comes in and energy comes out. The energy is not basically storing within the system, but energy is simply crossing the boundary of the system. So in this scenario we'll say that this is the energy interaction or the dynamic form of the energy. The dynamics forms of the energy are recognized as the system boundary as they process it, and they repeat the energy gain or loss by the system during a process. If the energy comes in, we'll say that there is a gain in the energy, and if the energy leaves, we'll say that there is a loss of energy. The only two forms of the energy interaction associated with the closed system are heat transfer and work, and basically these two are important in thermodynamics. The difference between heat transfer and the work, an energy interaction is heat transfer if its driving force is basically the temperature difference. If the temperature difference is not present, then the energy interaction would be work. Now more on the nuclear energy. The best known fission reaction involved the split of the uranium U-35 isotope into the other elements is commonly used to generate the electricity in the nuclear power plants. So the nuclear energy by the fusion is released when two small nuclei combine to become a larger one, and in the fission one larger one will split into two. The uncontrolled fusion reaction was achieved in 1950s but all the efforts since then to achieve controlled fusion by massive lasers, powerful magnetic fields, electric currents generate the power have failed. So basically, the nuclear energy is the enormous form or the tremendous form of the energy. This is basically energy stored within the nucleus of an atom. Now, the mechanical energy. The form of the energy that can be converted into a mechanical work completely and directly by an ideal mechanical device such as turbine is known as the mechanical energy. Now, kinetic and the potential energies as we are familiar with them. So the mechanical energy of a fluid as that fluid is flowing per unit mass, it will becomes E mechanical is equals to P over rho. Here P is basically the pressure plus V square over 2 as the it is the energy per unit mass, so masses are basically cancelled out with each other, and plus Gz. Now the rate of the mechanical energy flowing E mechanical is equals to m dot into E, where E is the energy and m dot is the mass flow rate. So m dot is outside the brackets. So again E is basically P over rho plus V square over 2 plus Gz. This is basically the rate of mechanical energy, and this equation is the mechanical energy. Now the mechanical energy change of a fluid during an incompressible flow per unit mass. Now the change in energy would be P2 minus P1 over rho, V2 square minus V1 square over 2 plus G into Z2 minus Z1. This is basically the change. Now the rate of change will simply multiply the change with m dot, mass flow rate. M dot into P2 minus P1 over rho plus V2 square minus V1 square over 2 plus G into Z2 minus Z1. Here the units are basically the kilowatts for the flow, and for the energy we have the kilojoule per kg. These are the some examples of the energy. Like the mechanical energy is useful concept for flows that don't drive or involve the significant heat transfer of the energy conversion, such as the flow of gasoline from an underground tank into the car. Here the flow is basically not responsible for the energy. Fuel is just coming in from the gas tank into the piston cylinder, where the phenomena of the burning and the compression start, and the power is basically obtained after the useful work. Now the energy transfer by heat. Heat, the form of energy that is transferred between two systems by the virtue of the temperature difference, is known as the heat. Like here you are seeing basically a soda water container. If it is isolated, there will be no temperature transfer, and if it is placed outside having some temperature, so after some time its temperature will rise because of the heat, and if you have placed it inside the refrigerator, its temperature will simply decrease. Now in a closed system, mass cannot flow the system, but heat can. So we can say that it is basically involved in the heat transfer. Here the heat transfer per unit mass is given by the smaller q, which is equals to the q divided by the mass. Now amount of heat transfer when the heat transfer rate is constant, so q is equals to q dot into delta t, that is basically the rate of heat transfer. Now the change in heat transfer is given by capital Q is equals to integral that changes from T1 to T2 Q dot into dt. Now some historical background of the heat. What is kinetic theory? Kinetic theory treats molecules as the tiny balls that are in motion and thus possesses the kinetic energy. Now the heat, the energy associated with the random motion of these atoms, is known as basically the heat. Here we have a hot body, here we have a cold body, and these are basically in contact with this boundary. Now the heat flows from the hotter body to the colder body. This is basically the interpretation of the second law of the thermodynamics. Now the modes of heat transfer or the heat transfer mechanism, these are basically three. Heat can be transferred by conduction, by convection, and by the radiation process. Now what is conduction? The transfer of the energy from one energetic particle of a substance to the adjacent less energetic one as a result of interaction between the molecules is known as the conduction. When the interaction is such that two bodies are basically touching each other, so that mode of transfer is basically the conduction. It is mainly between solid and solid, solid and liquid. Now convection, the transfer of the energy between a solid surface and the adjacent fluid that is in motion, that involves the combined effect of the conduction and the fluid motion. Now the convection is basically two bodies are not basically touching each other. Like this is a solid body that have been placed in air, and air is basically skimming or basically touching its outer surface, and after some time the heat transfer occurs, it becomes cold and the adjacent air becomes hot. That is the mode of heat convection. Now the radiation, the transfer of the energy due to the emission of the electromagnetic wave. The radiation is the mode of transfer. Like the solar one, we are basically having the solar or the heat wave that are coming from the sun, and we are receiving that heat. That is basically the mode of radiation. Now energy transfer by work. What is work? In energy transfer, the energy transfer associated with the force acting through a distance is known as work. Like, for example, a rising piston, a rotating shaft, and an electric wire crossing the system boundaries. These are basically the transfer of the energy that are interacted with the help of work. Formal sign convention, heat transfer to a system and work done by a system are positive. When you give heat to a system, that heat is positive, Q in is basically positive, and when the heat comes out, Q out is negative. Similarly, work done by the system, W out is positive, and work done on a system, W in is basically negative. Alternatives to the sign convention is used in subscripts in and out indicate the basically direction. So W is equals to basically F into D as we have studied in the last lecture. So the work done per unit mass would be equals to smaller W, that is equals to W over M. Here you can see in example W is basically equals to 30 kilojoule. Here the mass is equals to 2 kg and change in time is basically 5 seconds. So what is basically we are having W work done per unit mass is equals to W over M. 30 divided by 2 it will becomes 15, and what is basically flow of the work, we are having basically 6 kilowatts. How we have achieved the 6 kilowatt? We have basically multiplied this 5 seconds of the time with basically the answer that we are getting after basically dividing the time with this W, we are basically getting the you can say that transfer of the work or the work flow rate. How you can find the work flow rate? You will divide the work by the change in time. 30 divided by 5. Now you will have the value of the 6 kilowatts. Now heat and work. Heat and work both are recognized at the boundaries of a system as they crosses the boundaries. Thus both heat and work are the boundary phenomena. Like you are having a process, so they are basically crossing the boundary of the system. System possesses energy but not heat or work. Like at one system can have the energy, but at one it cannot have heat, it cannot have the basically the work or the heat, but when it does some kind of a process, there will be the interaction of the heat or the work. So we can say that heat and work are basically not the are used to define the state of the system. They are basically done, they are basically the path functions, they are involved during a process. Now the electrical energy is equals to V into N, or we can say that W is equals to power is equals to voltage multiplied by the current. Here you can see that voltage is equals to I square into R. These are basically the interpretations of the electrical energy. Now the mechanical forms of the work. There are two requirements for a work interaction between a system and its surroundings to exist. There must be a force acting on a boundary and the boundary must move. So for a value of some kind of work, that is must that there must be some F should be present at the boundary, and there that F simply moves the distance or simply moves the boundary through some distance. Like here a box have been placed, you are applying the force and that box have been shifted to a new position. When the force during a work is not constant, we simply write W is equal to integral 1 to 2 F into d of S. So work done is proportional to the force applied and the distance travelled. If there is no movement, no work is done. Like a person is sleeping, he is doing no work. Now the shaft work. For a shaft work, a force acting through a movement arm R and generating a torque. The formula for the torque is basically T is equals to F into R, where F is equals to torque divided by the radius of the shaft. For this, W of the shaft is equals to F into S, where force is equals to torque divided by the radius, and here the distance S is basically 2 pi r into n. 2 pi r into n, where 2 pi r is basically the basically periphery, and n is basically the number of the rotations. So R would be divided by the R. So the shaft work formula is equals to 2 pi n into T, that is in kilojoule. Now the power transmitted through the shaft is basically W dot, that is 2 pi n dot into T. Now the energy emissions through rotating shaft is commonly encountered in practice. Like the shaft is rotating and the ship is moving. The shaft work is proportional to the torque applied and the number of the revolutions of the shaft. So here for the shaft work, two things are important, like 2 and pi are the constant. One is n and second one is the T. So how much torque is present? If the value of the torque is larger, the work would be larger, and number of turns. Number of the revolutions of the shaft would be increased, the value of the work done is also increases. So the value of the shaft work is equals to 2 pi n into T. Now the spring work. For a spring, we have the formula 1 over 2 k into x square. Now what is changed in the shaft work, in the spring work, we'll have the initial position and we'll have the final position. So we'll write simply W is equals to half k x2 square minus x1 square. When the length of the spring changes by the differential amount d of x under the influence of the force, then this smaller work done delta W or the curly W spring is equals to F into d of x. For the linear elastic spring, the displacement x is proportional to the force applied. F is equals to the kx. The final formula for the spring work is W is equals to F into dx, and further it's elaborating on the Final form is W of the spring is equals to half K x2 square minus x1 square. Work done on elastic solid bars, as we have seen in the spring example, it is equals to differential 1 to 2 f into d of x, which is equals to 1 to 2 sigma n into d of x. Work associated with stretching of the liquid film, these are equals to 1 to 2 sigma into dA. So these two, basically the work interactions are very rare in the thermodynamics. We will deal mainly with the shaft work 2 pi n into T, and we will basically deal with the linear work W is equals to F of S. Now the work done to rise or to accelerate a body. The work transfer needed to raise the body is equals to the change in the potential energy of the body. Like the motor have been placed, and this is basically the elevator. When the motor starts rotating, the power is on, it will basically coil back, so the elevator can lift up. So in this case, the work done is mainly because of the potential energy of the body. Second is work transfer needed to accelerate a body is equals to the change in kinetic energy. Like you are accelerating a body, you are giving a throttle or you are giving the pedal to your car, so it starts accelerating. So you are basically increasing the kinetic energy of your car. So in that case, the work interactions are mainly due to the kinetic energy. Now the non-mechanical forms of the work, other forms of the work are electrical work. The generalized force is the voltage, and the generalized displacement in this case is the electric charge Q, as work is equals to force multiplied by the distance. In this case, when the work is in the electrical form, it will be voltage and the charge Q. Now the magnetic work. The generalized force is the magnetic field strength, and the generalized displacement is the total dipole movement, the movement that is across the two poles of the magnet. Now the electric polarization work. The generalized force in this case is the electric field strength EMF, and the generalized displacement is the polarization of the medium, how the medium has been polarized, how the atoms are shifted positive on one side and negatives on the one side. Now the first law of the thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics, as we have studied in the previous lectures also, it is basically the conservation of the energy principle, and it provides the sound basis for studying the relationship among the various forms of the energy and the energy interactions. The first law states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed during a process, it can only change the form. As we have seen in the previous slides also, here a rock is present upon a stone is present upon a rock having potential energy, and when it starts falling, the potential energy is converted into the kinetic energies. So according to the first law, we are basically changing the form of energy. Similarly, these are also some of the examples of the energy interaction and energy transfer that are associated with the first law of the thermodynamics. Now the energy balance. The net change in the total energy of the system during a process is equals to the difference between the total energy entering and total energy leaving the system. So change in total energy of a system is equals to total energy entering E in minus total energy leaving E out. So delta E of a system is equals to E in minus E out. If the energy comes in is larger and the energy leaves the system is smaller, so the value of the change of the energy would be positive. But when there is a system when the energy leaves more as it comes in, so the value of the change in energy is negative. Like in this example, heat is supplied to the system, or the energy supplied to the system having the value 15 kilojoule. Some of this energy is used to do the useful work, that is 6 kilojoule, and the remaining energy is expelled out. So change in energy is equals to E in 15 minus E out, that is 3, plus what is this 6, that is basically the work done. E is equals to Q plus W. So 15 minus 3 plus 6 into 18 kilojoule. Energy change of a system delta E. Energy change is energy at final state minus energy at the initial state, E2 minus E1. So we can say that change in energy of a system is equals to change in internal energy, change in kinetic energy, and change in the potential energy. For the stationary systems, change in potential energy is 0, change in kinetic energy is also 0. So the total energy is equals to the internal energy. Delta E is equals to delta U. Here delta U is equals to m into U2 minus U1. Kinetic energy half m V2 square minus V1 square, and delta P is equals to mg Z2 minus Z1. And again, as I have explained, for a stationary system, kinetic and potential energies are 0. Total energy is equals to the internal energy. Mechanisms of energy transfer, E in and E out. Now energy transfer by heat transfer, E in minus E out is equals to Q in minus Q out plus W in minus W out plus E mass in E mass out. So total energy of the system, as we have studied previously, is equals to the heat, work and mass flow. These are basically the three modes of energy transfer: heat transfer, work transfer and mass flow transfer. So change in energy, total energy of a system is equals to E in minus E out, which is equals to Q in minus Q out plus W in minus W out plus E mass in minus E mass out. The net energy transfer by heat, work and mass, E in minus E out, is commonly known as delta E, and its rate is E dot in minus E dot out. How you will calculate the rate? We'll simply divide all the values at the right hand side with delta T or dt. That is basically to find the rate of change. Now E in minus E out, that is basically the energy per unit mass, is equals to delta E of the system. Now when the change is very small, curly E in minus curly E out, that is equals to D of the system, differential of the system, energy in minus energy out. So W net out is equals to Q net in for a cycle. For a cycle, change in energy is 0 because we ends up on a point where we have started. So in this case, value of delta E is equals to 0. And if also there is no mass flowing through the system, so the only these two things would remain. So the Q would be equals to the W, but it will come with a negative sign. So it will say that the output of basically the work is equals to basically the heat that have been supplied to a system. When you supply the system with the heat, it will do some useful work and the remaining amount is utilized to basically raise the total contents of the body. So for a cycle, internal energy value is 0. Because of that, delta E is also 0. So Q is simply equals to the W with the negative sign. So we can say that the net heat supplied is equals to the net work done or the net work out. The energy content of a control volume can be changed by a mass flowing as well as the heat work interactions. Now the energy conversion efficiencies. What is efficiency? Efficiency is one of the most frequently used term in the thermodynamics, and it indicates how well the energy conversion or transfer process is accomplished. So the efficiency is basically output over input. You have given the input to the system, so how efficiently that system is performing or giving the output. So performance is basically equals to the desired output divided by the required inputs. Efficiency of a water heater is the ratio of the energy delivered to the house by hot water to the energy supplied to the water for the heating. So these are basically the values of the efficiencies of the some common domestic appliances. Gas conventional efficiency is basically 55%. Higher efficiency of the gas is 62%. Electric efficiency is 90% and higher efficiency is almost as 94%. Now the combustion efficiency of combustion is equals to Q over HV. Combustion efficiency is equals to Q divided by the HV, where Q is the amount of heat released during the combustion divided by the heating value of the fuel burned. Heating value of the fuel is basically the amount of heat released when a unit amount of a fuel at a room temperature is completely burnt and the combustion products are cooled at the room temperature. So what does HV means? Basically, if you have 1 liter of a gasoline, so it is basically the amount of energy that have been released after completing complete 1 liters of the gasoline. Now the lower heating value HLHF, when the water leaves as a vapor, it is known as low heating value. High heating value HHV, when the water is in the combustion gases is completely condensed and thus the heat of vaporization is recovered, it is known as the HHV, high heating value. The efficiency of the space heating system like common HVAC system, HVAC system of a residential and commercial buildings are usually expressed in annual fuel utilization efficiency AFUE, which accounts for the combustion efficiency like this, as well as the other losses such as heat losses, as because the uh, colder air that flows through the ducts, it loses some heat because of not having the perfect insulation. The definition of the heating value of the gasoline have been explained here. Air that is coming in at the 25 degrees Celsius or the room temperature air, you are supplying 1 kilogram or the 1 liter of a gasoline. Here the combustion starts, and after the complete combustion, what is the value that have been obtained? That is 44,000 kilojoule per kg. Now the generator, a device that converts the mechanical energy into the electrical energy, is known as the electric generator. Like you have common generator in your houses or the commercial generator at the commercial places in your university as well. It is a mechanical device. Basically the pistons are moving so that they are supplying basically the electrical energy to the system. Generator efficiency, it is basically the ratio of the electrical output power to the mechanical input power. The thermal efficiency of the power plant, the ratio of the net electric power output to the rate of fuel energy input, is known as the thermal efficiency of a power plant. The overall efficiency of a power plant is equals to combustion efficiency multiplied by the thermal efficiency multiplied by the generator efficiency. Here the combustion efficiency is Q divided by HV, like this, amount of heat released and the heating value. Thermal energy is basically heat output over heat input. Heat output is basically the work and heat input is basically the Q, and the generator efficiency, that is basically the electrical power output divided the mechanical power input. So for overall efficiency, the formula is W net electric work, flow of electric work divided by high heating value HHV multiplied by the mass flow rate m dot. Now the lighting efficiency, the amount of light output in lumens per watt consumption of the electricity is known as the lighting efficiency. Efficiency of different lighting system have been given here. You can see here a 15 watt compact fluorescent lamp provides much light as compared to the 60 watt incandescent lamp. So the efficiency of this lamp is basically higher as compared to this one. It is consuming less watts of the energy and providing more lumens. However, this lamp is consuming more watts, so because of that the energy is less as compared to this one. Using energy efficient appliances, we can conserve the energy. It helps the environment by reducing the amount of the pollutants emitted to the atmosphere during the combustion of the fuel. The combustion of a fuel produces carbon dioxide, causes the global warming, nitrogen oxide, hydrocarbons. These are all harmful for the environment. Here you have an example. You are supplying the electrical energy 5 kilowatts, 3 of that is used for the cooking and 2 kilowatt is expelled out. So the efficiency is equals to energy utilized divided by the energy supplied. The utilized energy is 3, supplied energy is 5. So the efficiency in this case is basically 0.60 multiplied with by 100. So it will have the 60% efficiency, and 40% of the energy is not being utilized. It just comes out as a heat. So this is the efficiency of the cooking appliance that is used commonly in your house. Now the efficiency of mechanical and the electrical devices. Mechanical efficiency is equals to mechanical energy output E mechanical out over mechanical energy input E mechanical in, or we can say that it is equals to 1 minus E loss over E in, like E out minus E in. The effectiveness of the conversion process between the mechanical work supplied or extracted and the mechanical energy of a fluid is expressed by the pump efficiency and the turbine efficiency. So the mechanical energy can further be basically divided into pump efficiency and the turbine efficiency. It will depend upon which operating device you are basically using. Now the efficiency of a pump is equals to mechanical energy increase in the fluid divided by the mechanical energy input, that is equals to delta E mechanical fluid divided by the mechanical energy input, basically work upon the shaft, which is equals to the work of pump divided U over W pump. What does it mean? A pump efficiency is equals to the potential energy or the height at which the fluid have been raised divided by the mechanical energy input as pump having the shaft. So it is basically input is basically the shaft work, and then basically output is basically the fluid outward. So delta E of the fluid is basically equals to the fluid comes out minus fluid comes in. So pump efficiency is equals to E out minus E in divided by W. Turbine efficiency. Turbine efficiency is equals to the mechanical energy output divided by the mechanical energy decrease in the fluid. In the turbine, we supply the fluid, it will strike with the blade starts rotating to provide the shaft work. So here basically in the numerator you will have the shaft work, and here you will divide that by delta E of the fluid in minus fluid out. So we can say that the turbine and the pump efficiency are basically the reciprocal of each other. Now the pump efficiency or the motor efficiency. Efficiency of the motor is basically the mechanical power output divided the electrical power input. Here the output is basically the mechanical work, that is W shaft, and the input is basically the electrical power, which is W electric. For a generator, you have the generator efficiency, electrical energy output W electric divided by the mechanical power input W of the shaft. Here motor efficiency and generator efficiency are also reciprocal of each other. Now the pump motor overall efficiency would be the multiply of these two, which is equals to the, in total pump motor overall efficiency, like in your home you are having a common motors that are used to deliver the water to your tank. So basically the output is basically the lift that have been achieved, or the water that have been thrown to the tank. So that is basically change in the fluid energy. The fluid have been lifted from the motor position to the tank position. So in the numerator you will have delta E mechanical fluid divided by the, basically your motor is consuming the electrical energy or the electricity to provide the power. So here the net input is basically W electric. Similarly, in a turbine generator overall efficiency, in turbine you are basically supplying the fluid energy, that is basically the input, and at the end you are having the electrical energy output through the generator. So the turbine generator overall efficiency was equals to the W electric divided by the delta E fluid. Here you are saying this is basically the generator and this is basically the turbine. So the fluid comes in, fluid comes out, that is input, WE mechanical fluid. So after that the shaft starts rating and the electricity is generated. So the W electric is basically the output. Here you can have the overall efficiency. If the turbine efficiency is 0.75 and the generator efficiency is 0.97, so the overall efficiency is 0.75 multiplied by 0.97. We'll multiply just efficiency of these two to have the total efficiency. So the total efficiency of this system is the multiplication of turbine efficiency and the generator efficiency, which is equal to 0.73 or the 73%. So the common turbine generator system that are used to supply the electricity in our houses, you can say that having the 73% of efficient. The overall efficiency of a turbine generator is the product of efficiency of the turbine and the efficiency of the generator. So the summary, in today's lecture we have seen the forms of the energy: macroscopic form of energy, microscopic form of energy like sensible, latent, chemical, nuclear. Then we have seen the modes of transfer of heat, transfer of work. Then we have seen the energy balance. Then the mechanisms of energy transfer through work, through heat and through mass flow. Then the energy conversion efficiencies. These are important, as we have seen in these two slides, how you can calculate the efficiency for a system. I'll explain it again. For mechanical energy, you will have the mechanical output over mechanical input. For electrical energy, you have electric output over electric input. For thermal energy, you have thermal output over thermal input. For fluid energy, you will have the fluid output or the potential energy output over potential energy input. Likewise, for a pump, the output is basically the fluid energy. The energy of the fluid is increased through the pump, and basically the input is basically the shaft work or the mechanical energy. So the pump energy is basically E fluid over W of the shaft. Similarly, for a turbine, the output is basically the shaft work and the input is basically the fluid, mechanical energy of the fluid. Likewise, we have the energy of the motor. In motor, we have the output power of the shaft and we supply it with the electrical input. Similarly, for the generator, in generator the output is basically the electric work and the input is basically input shaft power. So the overall efficiency in case of a pump motor device is the multiplication of these two, and in case of turbine generator it would be the multiplication of turbine and the generator. So that was all from the today's lecture. Thank you so much.